What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Halftime with Bizzy podcast, but not just any episode, the 100th episode of the podcast. Very, very pleased to have Grim join us today. And I know you guys are like, whoa, why didn't you upload on Friday? You do it every Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern. Well, that's because we did it on the 4th of July this year. We have an American Grim, an NA Counter-Strike representative joining us. Today is the 4th of July for Americans. It just makes sense, okay? So we're dropping a Saturday episode to you guys today at 12 p.m. Eastern. Of course, like always, that doesn't ever change. But yeah, it's a great pleasure to have had Grim on, especially after the Cologne major. And we do talk a little bit about, the big situation, that you'll hear it in the podcast anyways. We're not going to dwell on it too hard right now. But a massive pleasure to have Grim on the podcast, and a massive pleasure to have you guys join me to listen to the episode. So thank you all very much for joining another episode of the podcast. If you're new, make sure you like the video if you enjoyed it. Comment down below, let me know what you think, and subscribe to support the channel. I also have my Twitch located in the description, so if you want to drop a Prime sub, if you have a Prime sub, it helps out a lot. I appreciate it. If not, it's all good because you're here, and that's what matters the most. So I appreciate you guys clicking on the video. So in today's podcast, we talk a little bit about Grim on Complexity for about 4 years, his transfer over to Passion UA when Complexity fell through, back to NA soil with NRG. We talk about a lot of stuff. We talked a little bit about the Cologne major and what happened there, but we're not going to dwell on it too hard. So you guys are just going to have to listen to the actual podcast to hear that part of it. But without further ado, we're going to dive right into things. Shout out to Grim, shout out NRG, and shout out to NA Counter-Strike. We'll catch you guys on the outro. Grim's sitting here with us, and the history is actually pretty cool because I remember, it's just funny how the world works because I remember being at the Austin major, and right at the main entrance where the security was, I remember someone that I was with was like, oh, yo, there's Grim over there. And you were like talking to a couple people, and I've never been the type of guy to go up to someone and be, oh, I'm a big fan. I just can't do that. That's just not me. But I remember that moment very vividly. And then I remember, shit, I forget what month it was now. My brain is cooked, but Daps was on the podcast. I think it was just after Christmas time. I think January, February. And when we did an interview, literally the day before, rumors coming out that George was getting benched off of NRG.
Yeah.
And then I asked him about it, and he just dropped the news. He's like, yep, we poached Grim and George is gone. And I was like, oh shit. So that's how we kind of started to connect, and then it immediately made me think like back to that Austin major experience. So just kind of crazy how the world works.
Yeah, I mean, Austin was fun. I remember there was like a lot of fans there that were like lining up for pictures and stuff, and I wanted to sign all their stuff. It was nice being in like an NA event.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it was a real eye opener on, obviously EU is like the biggest region for Counter-Strike and stuff, but when it comes to a major, especially like NA is always
Yeah,
welcoming for something like that. Like the Austin major, just as a fan, was just such an absolutely incredible experience to be a part of that.
yeah. I mean, it was nice. I like the Blast always have like really good production for their events, and I remember the crowd and just arena in general was really hype. They always are for NA events, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we get so starved from, just being at NA events here. So when we get the rare NA event, it's just like full energy. I mean, Blast Rivals Fort Worth,
Yeah, well, I wasn't
arguable.
there, so I don't know. But
I
I heard
was
the
there for
crowd.
that one, and it was pretty dead, unfortunately, but
Damn.
it was good for what it was. It wasn't like nobody was there, but it definitely wasn't full. But
Yeah,
that's for another discussion.
yeah.
So before we get started talking about, more recent things, I kind of want to talk a little bit about, your time with Complexity was, it was your home for almost 4 years. And at the Austin Major, Jason Lake made the announcement. I remember it vividly, just on that big Jumbotron in the main arena area. And I think it was actually even in the TVs, just if you were walking around getting like food or whatever, like it
Yeah.
was very much so made a big point that Complexity was leaving Counter-Strike, which is absolutely horrific for NA as a whole. Passion UA would pick up the entire roster from Complexity, obviously, except for 60. And I'm just kind of curious, like this was your first team that was not an NA based team. And I'm just kind of curious how this whole experience was for you in the beginning, in the beginning, because I know this wasn't something that you were familiar with.
Yeah, I mean, Complexity was an amazing org, and everyone like around involved was awesome. I really like Jason Lake and the staff there. Unfortunately, things just kind of fell through with like the financial aspect and Complexity, and they kind of like couldn't secure any funding or sponsors and kind of just died off, which kind of sucked because I liked being there for like 4 years, like you said. Um, yeah, it was definitely interesting on Passion UA. It's like um, I'd say I was just we were just glad that someone was able to like pick us up after losing our org, and Jason Lake was trying to reach out to people and see like who'd be wanting to sell us and didn't want us to like go without an org and stuff like that. So I was glad the deal happened for sure. It's definitely a lot different compared to like being on Complexity, because like at the time at least Passion UA didn't have like a gaming facility, but that's something in Complexity we when I first joined, we moved to like the apartments in Frisco area, and then we had like this facility to play at like every day, and it was honestly a really good time. But yeah, it was definitely a bit different on Passion, but I'm still grateful for the experience for sure.
Yeah, and the thing with complexity is like, they've been around for what is it? Well, has to be over 20 years at this point, like forever, right?
Yeah,
And what they've established in that time to have that, ripped away is just like, it's kind of crazy. And I haven't had the chance to talk with Jason Lake, although I've been trying to get in touch with him. But I just want to know, like, I don't know if you have this answer, but like, is there a future where we can see complexity come back into Counter
I,
Strike?
I would hope so. I mean, I know Jason Lake's very passionate about this stuff and loves Counter-Strike, so I'm assuming one day he can hopefully make it happen. But yeah, the problem was like since we were based in Texas, like and they have like strict gambling laws, we couldn't like secure like any of the like gambling sponsors every other team has that provides like most of the money. And then after that, Jason just couldn't find anything. But if he finds something, I can 100% see him coming back one day and getting things rolling again.
Yeah, for sure. Because I'm pretty sure Complexity is still involved with like Rocket League and a couple other esports too. I was shocked that it was Counter Strike. I feel like I'm really just like tunnel vision on Counter Strike. I don't know anything about any other esports,
Yeah.
but I would have to assume that Counter Strike like trumps all of the other esports that Complexity is a part of. It was just absolutely shocking.
Yeah, I mean, they love Counter-Strike, but Counter-Strike's also a game where, like, you gotta pay, like, the salaries of these players that are, like, higher than the other games, and, like, just a lot more funding for, like, an NA team comes in because you gotta, like, constantly be boot camping in Europe and stuff and spending all this money. I think that was, like, the number one issue. He would've loved to stay in Counter-Strike.
Yeah. Well, fingers crossed for the future, but let's talk about Passion UA a little bit. You joined just a couple months before the Budapest major, and it was actually kind of to take the good from the bad. You weren't really without a team. Like sometimes, you can get if you're benched from a team or something, it could be a couple months before you get picked back up. You were pretty immediately on another team, which was probably like a very comforting experience, of course. Um, and when you join Passion UA, you guys would see some pretty solid success. You got second place finish at Draculand Season 2. You won Urban Riga's Open Season 1, reaching third place at Draculand Season 3. Then the Budapest Majors starting in Stage 2, making it to Stage 3, and then unfortunately losing to FaZe Clan,
Um,
who would have the craziest fluke-ass finish of a major of all time, pretty
yeah.
much. So, when you look back on this, what do you think went wrong and how do you guys try to correct errors leading into 2026?
Um, well, I'd say for Passion, it wasn't really, like, a new team for me in a sense, just because we were, like, the same 4 people, but we just had, Kevin for 60. And yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like our floor was a bit higher than what we should. Like, we should have won some of those Draculans that we placed second and third at. And Budapest, honestly, I have like PTSD at this point from FaZe because every time I'm close to making playoffs in my career, I play FaZe and lose in the 2-2 game. Unfortunate, but it happened at Copenhagen. But yeah, after that, they decided to part ways with Halzerk, and I really liked Hakan. He was a great teammate, great person in my opinion. And then yeah, after that for me, I kind of saw like our schedule coming up, and I was like, I don't know if I can do this mentally. Like I kind of want more time in NA and stuff like that. I like to be in NA more, and because they had this schedule that I don't even think Nick X got more than like 10 days at home, like
Oh, wow.
since like January, and it was like May at this point. And I'm just like, But I left in like February, I think, because I saw this coming up, and I just wanted. And Energy reached out, and I was just like, hey, like, I mean, this sounds like good for me. I want to play with Nitro. I always have like one of the NA goats and stuff, and just get less stress mentally and in terms of the schedule. And that's basically how it went for how I joined Energy.
Okay. And yeah, the whole stress part of it, I mean, let alone the competition aspect, but like, especially if you're based in NA, you grew up here, you have family here, you have friends here, and everything like that, you're suiciding all of that, and you're pretty much just living in EU. And then you add the competition aspect of things, and then you add just like living day to day there. Everything piles up like pretty crazily, I can imagine. So to be back in NA, I'm sure it feels probably, yeah, a lot of stress off the shoulders for the most part.
Yeah, I definitely like the time with family and stuff a bit more, and I also just like playing like a lot of these NA events that we didn't play any of these NA events for a while in Complexity or Passion because Halzerk took forever to get his visa, which is funny because right when he got benched, the visa we've been waiting for like a year and a half finally came for USA for him. So it
Oh
was
my
like kind of like a
God.
shit show.
That's so crazy. And he's
Yeah.
still like, just in the abyss. Like, where the hell? Like, I don't understand these whole visa situations, but it just seems for certain people it's just like it's just impossible, it feels like. It's actually so sad.
Yeah, he's just chilling on the Passion bench right now, but I'm sure he'll find a home soon. He's a really good player.
For sure. And, leading into 2026, obviously a little bit of a rough go for the boys and you at Passion. And as we spoke about earlier, you would find your way back to NRG in North America. So I'm curious, what do you think the challenges were this season that were so much different than last season?
Um, I'd say for us at Energy is about just getting me implemented, which honestly didn't take too long for me to get comfortable in my roles. But then we were just having some struggles and like trying to figure out like a way of Counter Strike we want to play, and then it took like a bunch of time and like everyone talking and getting on the same page with some stuff, and we finally figured it out. We actually were like playing really well in practice right before CAC in the major, but then obviously stuff happened with Bro's family that he had to go back for mid event, which kind of sucked. And we had to play with Daps, and we almost beat Mouse with Daps playing on like a bad mouse pad because he forgot his mouse pad at the hotel or something, and
Oh,
he
fuck.
thought someone stole it. And it was like, who stole my mouse pad? Like, then he goes back after the match. He's like, yeah, guys, it was in my room the whole time. And
That's
yeah.
crazy.
But yeah, we had that, and then obviously, bro had to take more time off before the major for funerals and whatnot, and it sucked really bad. And then um major, obviously, I mean, there's this dreaded fucking 12-0 comeback game that is never gonna leave me. But honestly, we should have made stage two for sure. I don't know what would have happened after that. Yeah,
Yeah. I don't know. I had a question about the whole 12-0
I
situation.
don't
I don't want to dwell on it too hard because I know, like, Stunna had the interview with you right after it happened, and you
dude.
were
Yeah,
just like, I don't even know what the fuck just happened. Like, it was. So I don't know if you don't want to talk about it at all, but if you don't, I completely respect it, and we won't even go there because, I don't know
um,
how much there is to say about it.
nah, I don't mind talking about it now. But yeah, after the game, I had to do that interview. I was like, bro, fuck, like, why do I get this interview right now?
And hey, hats off to
Yeah,
you for doing it because you don't have to do interviews like that, you know what I mean? But you did it anyway, and even though
yeah.
it
I mean.
wasn't like the best interview in the world, I mean, what could you do in that moment, Like it's not.
Yeah, honestly, like from my perspective that game, I didn't think we were gonna like choke the game or whatever the whole time. Like the only time I really got like stressed out that we were like gonna throw the game is we were up like 12-11. I think we said to like go back A and like contact A, and then like Sonic died like con on the last round, and then they knew it was like an A split. And I was like, fuck, like this might actually go into overtime, and then it did. And then I was trying to get everyone like reeled in, saying like we got this still, like whatever shit happens, like we still have overtime to play. And I mean, I think at that point when you lose a 12-0 lead and goes into overtime, like people's mentals are just all over the place. Like it's hard to
Yeah.
focus still, and the team has so much momentum. It's like really hard to actually win. But yeah, during that game, it just felt like nothing we did on T side worked. Like our B pop timings were off, and they were like stacked B, or like we go A, but by the time we go A, they already cleared mid and they're stacked A. Or there was like 4 rounds we should have won for sure. I remember OC and I were in like a 2v1 default. We like swung to the right and got like lined up. And then there's some other ones. But yeah, I mean, that was like the hardest loss in my career for sure. Like it was very tough to stay in it mentally after that just because I have everyone like at the hotel. I remember falling, giving me a hug, like, bro, what the hell happened? Like,
Oh man.
I'm like, I don't know, bro. I don't want to talk about it. It sucks.
But it's like, even this is like a hugely fucking stupid take, but like, if you're playing matchmaking or Premier or Face It or something, which is obviously enormously different than playing in a stage at a major, in a group stage, I mean, and it's completely different, but just the principle of like being up on a 12-0 lead and like, you lose a couple rounds and then it's like, ah shit, okay, let's get back on track, boys. And then the slippery slope keeps, you keep going down the slippery slope. Like after such a horrific outcome, like how do you and the team, how do you guys like bounce back from that and regain motivation and try to keep your head above water and block out the very loud community that we have?
Yeah, I remember Sonic. He told me he's like deleting all social media for like a week or two, and you just gotta do that type of stuff because obviously
Yeah.
you're gonna have like a billion hate comments after that game, like talking about families and whatnot. So it's just better to like just avoid all that and not really look at it. But yeah, for me, I just needed like a week or two, like just away from CS or even thinking about it. Like I didn't even watch the major until now. I think now the playoffs are starting, and yeah, I just needed some time to like not think about CS for a sec. But it's fine to decompress now about it.
Yeah, for sure. Like, and the thing too is just when you think of, situations like that, like look at Hooksy. I don't know if you saw what happened with Hooksy. I mean, the people were just saying the most outlandish,
Yeah, I
crazy
saw.
shit. And, Twist, he's vocalized that he's taken time away because, especially FaZe Clan this season has been I'm not even gonna get started there, but we all
Yeah,
know what happened with them, and the whole mental aspect of everything we previously spoke about, and then the community, holding these expectations against certain teams and certain players, or just having these like horrible things lined up ready to say. I mean, at the end of the day, like it's not to downplay the profession and the esport, but it is just a video game, like if you lose a
yeah,
game, it's not the end of the world. You're not going to walk outside and die or explode or something. You're going to be okay. Maybe a lot of these people are the gamblers that are just spending ridiculous amounts of money that they
yeah.
shouldn't
That's the
be,
problem.
and that's not your guys' fault. That's the people who are
No,
gambling. That's their fault. You need to get some help. Like,
I mean, I don't feel the need like when I'm watching my favorite team play of a sport. I don't feel the need to like message them. Their whole family should die after after
yeah,
after
or
they
like their
lose. But
wives and stuff. Like it just gets
yeah,
so out of hand. It's actually disgusting.
it's just because they're gambling like all their money on like these matches, and when like losses like that happen, I don't know, just feel the need to message people. But I just try not to read it these days, honestly.
Yeah, and that's the healthiest thing you can do. But when it comes to the more positive thing, a lot of people were very happy to have you back in NA and back on, NA soil with NRG. And there was a lot of uh good supportive comments and a lot of people saying good things
Yeah.
about it. And you've actually had some good performance so far in NRG. And I'm sure this means a lot, especially after what just happened at the major. So tell me a little bit about the opposite of what we just talked about. How does it feel to read the good comments, open your DMs and see good messages and see good support from the community? Like, how does that affect you?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely read like a lot of, the stuff that people say online, and the good is always really good. Like I like reading this type of stuff, and it helps me feel like, kind of made like a right decision in a way with like what I chose to do. And yeah, I'm happy with how I'm playing here. It definitely took me like a couple months to get comfortable, but I was a little nervous like joining another team after being with the same IGL for like 4 years basically. I
Yeah,
was like the whole same core of players. I didn't know how I'd play with like other people, but I mean, this team was very welcoming and made it pretty easy. And I'm happy with how things are going, and I appreciate all the positive message that I do get sometimes. I definitely get more good than the bad, so I
well,
would
that's
say
good.
that. Yeah.
And I'm curious too, what is like some of the differences between, passion and now NRG, like in terms of just the system as a whole? Like what can you say about that, if anything? But that's obviously not going to leak any, private info about how the team operates and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'd say for one thing is like we're just in Europe less, and that might sound like a bad thing at first, but with passion we were kind of like living there. Like I was in, Serbia for months on end, like by myself half the time, and then on energy, it's like we do have boot camps, so we do it before like, like important events we have. Like I remember the major, we were like boot camping for a week, and then like some other events like Bucharest, we were boot camping for like a week and stuff like that. So it's not like we're never in Europe. It's just like we're not like actively living there, like because on Complex or Passion, we were kind of like split. Like Halzer, Kavem, and JT lived in Europe, and then Nick X and I were in NA. So it's like I remember I had like a week of prac where I was like waking up at 5 a.m. every day, screaming at like 6 a.m. I was
Holy
playing
shit,
yeah, I was playing NA to EU, which definitely wasn't sustainable for long because I was just so tired at the time. But
man. And the
yeah,
ping too. Like, how are you supposed to
um,
properly play with the ping like that?
you
That's
can't
crazy.
you can't see us too. The ping's so bad. I feel like lagging out.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy. And then as a team, like when you guys regroup, it probably feels good. But when you're, three of you are in EU and two of you are here, kind of does it feel like split up a little bit? I imagine it's not like the exact same team vibe as if you guys were all living in the same area.
Yeah, I mean, we had boot camps where like everyone was there, but for the most part, like they just send Nick X and I somewhere, and then everyone else would just play from home unless like it was like a major, like super important event coming up. Then we get all five together somewhere for a couple of weeks. But yeah, I mean that's how it went. Nick X had to like basically live in EU because he since he's in Florida, like the ping is like really bad,
Oh yeah.
like to EU, so he couldn't play from home. Like he was getting like 150 plus probably. But for me, I was like getting like 90, 100 since I'm in Ohio. We're playing like UK servers. It wasn't too bad.
Okay, that's all right. I mean, still like not really optimal,
Not
but
ideal.
could have been worse, I guess, if they
Yeah,
were living like way out west or something, or way out east rather.
yeah.
So one thing I think about all the time is the motivation throughout the good and the bad times in the season, whether it be from the good or bad results or what people are saying, or just the constant pressure of just competition, almost like literally like over hundreds of days of a year. What is it that you do to keep yourself grounded and level-headed and motivated to keep pushing yourself to do better? And even as a team, like what do you guys do to try to keep your heads high and, come back into another season with, ready to go with that kind of
Yeah, I
attitude?
mean, I'd say at least for me, I know like most players, I think I just personally like to compete and play Counter-Strike. Like I've played this game since I was like 14, which I know like other people played longer, like or younger, but for me I just really enjoyed the game. Definitely enjoy CS:GO more, but I just enjoy Counter Strike in general. I like competing and trying to be like one of the best NA players that I could be and representing my region and stuff. So, we're good and the bad. And regardless of how you do at the majors or any of these events, you still got to go home and reflect like how you did, what you could do better. Even if you're winning the events, it's always like a process you do. And then I always just find a way to come back next season, like feeling refreshed as I can. I think the player breaks help a lot for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing that I think about is just like, the burnout situation I know you've talked about before at PGL Bucharest with Pala. You guys did a little wingman
Oh,
tournament
yeah.
interview type
Forgot about
skit.
that.
Um, and the burnout thing is very real too. So, you've been putting in a lot of reps with NRG, and I know passion. You were like we've been talking about. You were burnt out, and the pressure and everything like that. How do you, when you're moving to NRG, for instance? How are you managing the burnout? Because it's not like you're getting much more of a break. Maybe it's just a better circumstance because it's more NA based for the most part, but you're still subject to the same type of environment in terms of like competing and stuff like that. So how do you avoid burnout and what do you do to try to manage that?
Yeah, I'd say I wasn't even burnt out in terms of competing. It was just like, on passion, like we'd have these like 8-week trips and go home for like 4 days and then go back on the road again for 6 weeks. But here it's a bit different. Like we're home for like a month practicing in NA, and then we would go to like EU for like 4 weeks max. Like one or two of those weeks would be boot camp, and then like the next two would be events and stuff. And what's kind of different from here about passion is like after an event, say we have like like a week or a week and a half gap before the next event. On Passion, we would just stay in EU and like boot camp the whole time and like just live there basically. But on this team, we can like some of us want to go home for like a few days in between those events. We're allowed to go, and then that extra time kind of makes up a big difference in like your mental health and stuff like that. I'd say that's like the biggest difference for me and like what helped me like not be able to get burned out as much. Now I'm having like a few days to reset at least before I go back on the road.
Okay. And do you ever do do you have any hobbies or anything or like vacations that you go on or do you just come back home and just kind of take a little bit more of a break, but still also practice at the same time, maybe not as much as you would do in season? Like, what about something
Yeah.
like that?
I'd say like the latter. Like I just come home. Like I still do like the same stuff I normally do. I don't go on like any vacations and stuff like that because we're still practicing and whatnot. Like there's not time to do any of that unless like we're actually in the break. Um, but yeah, it's just I just come home, chill on a computer, maybe watch some shows or whatever, and chill with my girlfriend and my family. But besides that, like nothing too special.
Okay. Okay. When it comes to the second season of 2026, obviously, if you're kind of just chilling right now, the major's still going. Technically, the first season's still ongoing. So I don't know how far in advance you guys look, whether it be you individually or NRG as a whole, look into the future for the second season of 2026 and how what you guys want to do. Do you have any like goals that you plan for the rest of the year, or do you kind of just regroup like maybe in a month or something like that?
Um, I'd say like well, at least for me, like whenever like my coach tells us like, yeah, we're gonna be practicing this day after the break, like normally like a week before I start playing the game again, like get into the swing of things. But in terms of your question, I would say like at least for me and like most players on my team, I think we want to like at least make a playoffs next season, ideally like pretty early on and try to build on it. Like I think that's a goal for like everyone because we had like a bunch of goals at the start of the season and it was like well one was win the frag. I think we got like fourth place or something like that. Um and then like it was just make playoffs at basically like every event we were at. And obviously that's like a little hard. Like I think for the major, our goal was like stage three or something. But like some of these events like CAC and whatnot, we wanted to make the playoffs, and that's something you look at during the season. Like I think like the management, coach, and everything like reassesses like where we're at and like what our goals should be, and what happens if we don't reach those goals, like that type of stuff. But at least for me, it's just like thinking about making playoffs at the next event.
Okay. And I think it's possible too. I mean, you guys would have been at stage 3 at very minimum if it wasn't for that big game. But
Yeah,
it's not like it's an unreachable thing. Like I think that you guys could definitely do it. You guys look very strong.
yeah. I mean, I think we had a really good chance going into CAC in the major, like I said. But then stuff happened with Bro's family that made it difficult, and
Yeah.
it was just a shit situation for us, honestly. But I think our team has a lot of potential, and we finally started getting on the same page with some stuff. And then yeah, the big game happened.
Yeah. And then the thing too is like, a lot of people just their world revolves around Counter-Strike and they only think about Counter-Strike and that's the only thing that matters to them. But there are unfortunate real world situations like what happened with Bro. Well, you can't control that and
No,
things
you
like that
can't.
happen and you have to go and attend to matters like that. You can't just, oh, I'm going to, going to the major. Like, no, you family
Yeah,
first, man. Like,
yeah. Like family and like stuff outside the game, like with that, like passing in the family or like childbirth, that type of stuff is always going to be more important than
yeah.
Counter Strike. At the end of the day, we're playing a game. Family's always more important. So it definitely sucked. Like I was happy he flew home mid event, honestly, because I wanted him to get the time he needed before the major and just get some time away and with family and stuff. So, but we made the most of our situation, I'd say, and honestly, like there's definitely some positives to speak of. It's not all bad, even though everyone's gonna be looking at that big game, but it's honestly all not that bad. Like we honestly played really good leading into that CT Mirage, and yeah, I mean the game should have won, but honestly, we're not in too bad of a spot right now, I'd say.
Yeah, agreed. And it just kind of makes me think about like what other things that people might not know about the reality of being a professional Counter Strike player, like when it comes to how the team works, maybe what roles do what. I mean, just anything. Like, is there anything that you think that people listening to this should know about just the experience of being a pro player in Counter Strike, or like what people may not be informed too much about?
Yeah, I'd say like one thing I love, I'm like watching a Twitch stream or whatever, like of a game, and like chat's always like, why is this guy doing this? Or like blah blah blah. Blah. That's like half the time, like a player's making a decision based on what he thinks best, but like at the same time, it's like a player could like like miss someone's comm or like just not hear someone say something or just not be on the right side of the map to get the full picture. And I feel like a lot of time I'm reading Twitch chat and they're like asking like why this guy's peeking here. Like it's just like a small things that you gotta come down. It's just like a level of understanding, I'd say, in terms of like like sometimes. And also, like, I feel like a lot of people just look at the kills and think like, "Ooh, bigger kill, like better player," that type of stuff, which I feel like's the case. Like in this game, you can have a huge impact on games, even though you're not like having a ton of kills. Like there's a lot of players that do it. Like I know everyone shits on Kerrigan, but like Kerrigan's a great teammate. Like he's always like dropping guns, running in first with Mag 10s and shit for like other players and just making space and like that type of stuff goes under the radar. Because I feel like a lot of the fans just look at like the kill count.
Yeah.
But there's like a ton more that goes into the game besides just getting kills.
Yeah, and it's it's something I've said before on the podcast, but like I see Twitch chat and it's the worst cesspool of shit that you could lay your eyes on. You'll maybe have a 3K on B site Mirage and clutch around in a 1v3 for argument's sake, and you're suddenly you're Jesus reincarnated. Then next round,
Yeah,
maybe you'll try to entry out of Palace and you die because there's an upper stairs or something, right? And then suddenly you're the worst piece of trash Counter-Strike player that's ever
yeah,
existed. It's
exactly.
just like what happened in the last 60 seconds that you were just praising someone and then now they're just the worst person ever. I just wish
Yeah.
people would take a little bit. I'm not saying you got to know everything, but just take a little bit of effort into wanting to understand further because sometimes I'm just like Twitter, Reddit, I can't even go on Reddit. Like I can't.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying I'm like I should never be criticized or whatever. Like people could obviously say some stuff. I just mean like in terms of like getting like the stats on the board, like maybe take like a step back sometimes because I feel like people like freak out over like the kills and stuff. But like I said, there's just so much more you can do that like people don't even see sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I this is a little bit quicker than I expected, but I have one last question for you. Um, what is it that makes NACS such a hard region? And a lot of times we hear people say like it's NACS is gonna die, and sometimes it does really seem that way, especially like
Yeah.
Team Liquid being the our most favorited currently. They've been the longest next to Complexity. They're like OG as fuck, and I mean, what the hell's going on over there? Like, this is our like we're supposed to idolize Team Liquid and idolize this region. It seems like I think NRG and M80 are outshining Liquid by a long shot, but Liquid is just still at the top somehow. And a lot of people always talk about is NACS going to die? So I'm just curious what your thoughts are on what makes everything so hard, and ultimately is it going to die one day?
Well, I hope it never does. I think NA does a lot for the scene that a lot of people don't realize. But I'd say like when I was up and coming, like there was like something to grind for. Like for me, like I wanted to like, like win ESEA League. Like I won main, won premier, and then made pro from that. But I feel like it's a lot harder to do that these days. Like there's like one spot, and then honestly, there's like not too many events anymore. I know there's like these like FLOM lands and stuff, and multiple frags coming, which is great. We need more of those types of lands, like to get VRS points. But besides that, it's like just like ECL, which is like online games that don't give as many VRS points. And then um, if you're not like an org like Energy or 80, it's gonna be hard to like get the money to go to like these EU lands and like the boot camps and whatnot. Like those are all expensive, like the flights, hotels, like all that type of stuff. But I'd say like the biggest thing is like now like when I was playing like I liked playing FPL and that type of stuff, but now it's like a bit different because like so I'd say since COVID came out and like everyone went to Valorant, like most of our tier 2 players went to Valorant. It's been pretty difficult to like rebuild like the player pool. Like we lost a lot of good players that are like on pro Valorant teams now in NA, and that kind of sucks. But now it's like I don't even know if people even play FPL like as much. Like any of the pros, I don't think anyone does. And that was like something I really enjoyed, and that helped a lot, especially when like if you have more events in NA, like the EU players would fly over, and when I was up and coming, it'd be awesome to like be like an MDL team, like scrimming like I remember we scrimmed a Strawless when I was on SWORD and we got like 27-3 or something
Oh shit.
in 2018. But it was like a nice learning experience still. Like you don't know that side of the game, and like right now it's like kind of like the same four teams playing against each other every event. Like it's like Marsborn, Voka, us, M80, like those types of teams. Like we kind of just play against each other like nonstop, unless we like go to EU and like get like one of these like Draculans or stuff. But I'd say the biggest thing right now is like yeah, and just having more events to play, like the frags or Flomlands to like build VRS, and then having good funding to get some of these teams out to EU and be able to grow more and have more boot camps to get to play against different players than they're used to playing against.
Yeah, and it seems like it's kind of a murky waters, like this region and everything. But Flom doing what he does, he's doing another Flom Mythic Land in September, I believe. Like
Yeah,
that's amazing. That's huge for the scene. But if we were to ever start seeing him not do those or like Frag disappears, then I'm scared. So I
yeah,
just
there's
hope
like
that day never
nothing.
comes. Like really.
Yeah, yeah, I'd
Launder's
say there's
Land,
like
get
not
him.
much.
Where's Launder's Land 3 at? Let's rip it,
Yeah,
you know?
Flanders, we need you, bro. We need some more. Yeah.
And does this situation ever get kind of like we talked about the motivating factors earlier, but does this situation with being in NA, like, is this ever a demotivator or are you able to just kind of ignore the whole potential down the future, what could happen type of outcome type of thing?
I'd say I personally just try to ignore it until it happens, you know, like right now we still got all these frags and farmlands and whatnot to play, so that's nice. But you know, eventually in a world where that goes away, like I feel like it's gonna be very difficult for NA teams and this VRS unless you're like basically like perma in Europe, which you got kind of gotta have to do in that situation if there's like nothing in NA. But hopefully for now, like I'm glad like Flom's doing these lands and stuff. I hope they keep coming. I hope more lands keep coming and the community can support that because that's something NA needs a lot, and I'm really grateful that they're doing that.
Yeah, for sure. And okay, last question for you. Where do you see yourself in the future if you I know you guys are always super busy, you don't probably get a whole lot of time to think about, 5 years where you're going to be. Do you have any type of goals that you want to hit or maybe anywhere that you dream of being in the future in any type of way?
Well, one of my goals is always make a major playoff. So hopefully, before 5 years from now, I mean, I'd hope that happens. At this point, I've been close so many times, but probably major playoffs and hopefully, win another major for NA. I think that would be like the best thing possible. Obviously, that's like number one, like dream come true type thing for an NA player. But besides that, I'm not sure. I mean, 5 years from now, hopefully I'm still playing, but if I'm not, like I remember I wanted to be like a stream CS when I'm done playing. I remember I was streaming on Liquid and I was getting like a lot of viewers and having a good time with it, but I kind of just stopped because on Complexity I like was never in the same place more than like a week, so it was like a little difficult to stream. But maybe I could do that as well. But yeah, I'd say biggest thing for me is winning a major right now.
Yeah, and that's the beautiful part about being a pro in Counter-Strike is just if you decide to hang up the mouse one day, cool. But you can still do so many other things. Like you could work on
Yeah.
broadcasts. Like Stico is a great example of that. Like he's killing it, doing a great job. You can be a content creator, you could be a streamer. There's so many different outlets. So it's like if one day being a pro doesn't work, that doesn't mean it's the end of the world, you know? Like there's still room to do other things, which I think is like a really cool part of the game.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I mean, I know a lot of people like watching them like the NA streamers. Like I know like Cooper and Flom get like decent amount of viewers and good fan base and whatnot. Even though they're just streaming pugs, I mean that's something I could do and maybe join one day. Yeah, I think it's nice for sure. Like you said, like there's a bunch of stuff you can do. You could be like a analyst, you could be a coach, or like analyst for a team or on the desk. Like you can even try commentating, which I probably won't do. This seems too hard for me. But yeah, I like it. Like you said, it's pretty versatile in that aspect.
Yeah, man. Well, that was the last question I had for you. So I appreciate your time, especially after the major and everything. Before we let you go, I'd just like to shine the spotlight over to the guests. If there's anything that you want to say, any thanks, shout outs, anything at all that you want to say, the floor is yours to do so.
Yeah, I'd say thanks to the NA fans for or just fans in general, but especially the NA ones for giving us, support and trying to understand, what happened in that 12-0 game and hopefully not be too mad for too long because, there's always more seasons, always more majors to play, and hopefully we can make you proud in one of them. And I also shout out again the Flomlands and the Frags. Thank you for those events and please keep doing them. Like the scene needs that pretty desperately, and I think all the players would agree. So thanks again for that. That's all.
Well, that does it, everybody. Thank you all for tapping in. Appreciate you guys all watching today's video, especially for the 100th episode of the podcast. I cannot thank you guys enough. So we will catch you guys next Friday. That's all we got for you today. Much love. I seriously appreciate all the support you guys have given me over the past 2 years of doing this show. I know I'm not the biggest analytical genius in the grand scheme of things, but I'm just trying to find my way in the scene, and I'm picking up and learning some things along the way, and to have you guys a part of it is a big pleasure. So I can't thank you guys enough for the support, whether you're a new viewer or a long-term viewer. I appreciate you guys all. So thank you very much. You guys enjoy the 4th of July if you're celebrating it. Enjoy your weekend if you're not. If you are, whatever, just enjoy yourself, man. Have a good, safe weekend, and we will catch you guys next Friday with another banger episode. Till next time, everybody.